Alright, gentlemen, I know some of you had some trouble with this the past 2 nights, so I'm going to kind of go over these with you. First of all, ultimately what this page is explaining is that no matter what the length of the rope, the upward tension forces will not change. It's dependent on the number of ropes rather than the length of the rope. So looking here, if Nellie Newton is 300 newtons down, the weight will be distributed evenly among these two ropes. Nellie Newton again is 300 here. We have 300. Let me get my pen out. We'll do green. She's 300. No matter what, whether the rope is long, short, or long, the total tension upwards will be 150 for each. Okay, moving on. Okay, the first two of these are incredibly easy because it's just looking at net forces of opposite directional items. So we have 4 up here and 4 down, which results in a 0 net force. They're equal. This has 4 newtons to the right versus 3 newtons to the left. Again, you do the subtraction because they're opposing each other. 4 minus 3 is 1. Oh, hello. The lines are going crazy. All right. So, next one we want to look at is how the heck we figure out when we're trying to find the resultant and it's not as obvious as it seems. When we look here, the resultant is moving up in that direction. Ultimately, this resultant would become the third side of a right triangle. So 4 newtons, 3 newtons. And this vector is rotational. Why did I keep calling it rotational? This resultant force ultimately can become the third side of this triangle. So here's your resultant force. Here's 4 newtons. Here's 3 newtons. This is now a right triangle. So all we need to know to solve this is the Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right, let's plug in for that. 4 newtons squared plus 3 newtons squared equals the resultant, or c squared. 16 plus 9 equals c squared, thereby turning into 25 equals c squared. To get rid of the squared value on both sides, we square root it. 25 equals square root of c, which is c, which equals 5. Notice this becomes the answer every time. This may throw you off, but look, 5 and 2 are completely opposing each other. Coming back to 3, giving us the exact same problem. 2 and 5 results in 3, giving us the exact same situation, which all goes back to here, that Pythagorean theorem. Okay, now here we're looking at the resultant going this way. It should be completely even. We have the same situation with the Pythagorean theorem again. Instead, we're putting in 7 and 7. If we do 7 and 7, 7 squared plus 7 squared equals c squared. It's 49 plus 49 equals c squared. Now we know that's 98 equals c squared. For our sanity and for time's sake, we're going to round this up to 100 because that's easy to take the square root of. And I'll do the squiggly lines to indicate that it's approximate. So that's 10 is approximately c. Yes, you could do the decimals all the way out, but that's a pain. This becomes the same thing. 3 and 10 cancel out to make 7, thereby being the exact same situation. Okay, we know this resultant force is 10 newtons approximately. So if it's approximately 10 newtons, like we found out up there and over there, we realize 10 newtons is completely opposing this 10 newtons, thereby making our total net force approximately 0. Okay, this last one is where everybody gets tripped up on. I'm going to erase my example so we have room to work. Always feel free to pull out a piece of paper or work in your grid book to show your work and figure it out. Okay, so this time we're missing one of those forces. That 7 up is not there. we have this crazy greater than 120 degree angle. We could get all complicated and get into the trigonomic aspect of this, but instead we'll avoid all the complications and realize if we take this way, if we do the opposite, so this becoming a negative force, we now have, hello, sorry about that, we now have, where did my notes go? This stinks. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't know what happened to my notes, so I'm just going to go in from here. So we have going down is 10 newtons, going this way, if it was straight, is 7 newtons. We know this is a 45 degree angle. So if we take the -7, we now know this triangle can become, without even doing the math, we know this becomes an equilateral triangle. Alright, so knowing this is 7 and this is 10, we've already done this triangle before. The resultant force is in fact 7 newtons, approximately. Alright, remember we had the math all crazy before. So we have, again, equilateral triangle means both of these angles are 45 degrees. It tells us it's 45 degrees, so telling us ahead of time it's equilateral. But if you want to do the work, just to prove it, we have this side here would be your b squared. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A squared is 7 squared plus b squared equals 10 squared. Doing the math, we got 49 plus b squared equals 100. Do our subtraction. This gets us to 51 equals b squared. And then if we think about it, that's fairly close to 49. So it's approximately, b squared is approximately 49, making this easier to do. B is approximately 7. So when you work out the math, it works that way too. Alright, I hope this helped. Use this to help you study and double check your answers for the practice problems I'm adding in.